Good afternoon and welcome back to day 71 of our Bible studies. We've just come into the part of the Bible where we are looking at the covenant of Moses and the new priesthood, days 71 to 87. Today we go back to the covenant of Moses itself, the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, which led the children of Israel out of Egypt towards the promised land. Exodus chapter 13, verses 17 to 21. When the Egyptian king allowed the people to depart, God did not lead them by the coast road towards Philistia, even though that way would have been shorter. God was thinking, I don't want my people to change their minds and go back to Egypt as soon as they realize that they have a fight on their hands. Instead, he led them on a detour through the wasteland towards the Reed Sea. The Israelites were armed, ready for battle. Moses took Joseph's body with him because Joseph had made the Israelites promise him to do that. He had said, when God rescues you, you must take my body out of here with you. So the Israelites left Sukkoth. They pitched camp at Etham on the edge of the desert. In the daytime, Yahweh went in front of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them. During the night, he went in front of them, lighting their way in a pillar of fire. Thus they could travel by night and day. Many a myth has historical foundations, and scholars have taken great pains to discover the origins of the Exodus story. Yesterday I mentioned the possibility that the island of Thera, exploding in a volcanic eruption in the Bronze Age, uncertainly dated around the 14th century BC, might be the source of that pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. It was that eruption that appears also to have caused the fall of the Minoan civilization. Was God killing two birds with one stone? How can we possibly know? The Israelites had armed themselves, probably in self-defense, and wisely didn't use the main trading road straight into Philistine territory. There, the movement of such a large number of armed refugees would have caused deadly conflict too soon, sending many of them back into the arms of their slave masters. Two versions of the story have been merged by a later editor. The older story, who calls God Yahweh, describes God as the pillar of cloud and fire. The final editor prefers that to the slightly later narrator, who calls God Elohim, who prefers talking about God's messenger or angel leading them. Now the refugees had the pursuing Egyptians behind them. The king and his officials had come to their senses about letting this large workforce leave. In front of them is literally the Reed Sea in Hebrew, which makes it rather difficult to locate. It could be one of the series of salt lakes and reed marshes that stretched between the Gulf of Suez and the Mediterranean, more or less where the Suez Canal is now. Or it might be open but shallow water elsewhere in the Sinai area. At this point, it looks like it's all over. They are trapped between the army and the waters. How will they escape? Well, as it turns out, three theories raise their heads in the following verses, now disentangled for us by scholars of the text. The oldest tradition looks to nature coming to their aid. A strong east wind, chapter 13, verse 21, sent by Yahweh, it says. It drives the water back all night, leaving dry land. A slightly younger version of the story gave Moses miraculous powers. Elohim had provided Moses with a staff, which he holds up to push the waters aside, chapter 14, verse 16. Then, finally, the priestly editors, forgetting about the wind and Moses' staff, imagined walls of water chapter 14, verse 22, holding the sea back to make a corridor on the seabed. For me, the oldest version is best. This is not really a contest between nature and God doing the job. God is involved completely in the working of nature, and human imagination can make simple things too complicated. God is always here, always at work. Tomorrow we'll see them actually crossing that seabed. That'll be day 22, the return of the waters. See you then.